How will this bull market play out? I believe after Trump's inauguration that the stock market will explode upwards because the crazy policies he proposed during the pre-election, the things he proposed that were quite outrageous. He's not going to deport 12 million people. He's not going to put 60% tariffs on other countries. Reality will dawn on him, and it will be a big relief rally that he isn't following through completely on what he promised, although he will do some of it. But it might not be all that bad, and some of it might be good. So I think we're going to have an explosive relief rally, and I'm hoping that it continues on. The stock market wants to explode upwards. I'm going to go over my investments by how much money I have in each one. The ones that I have the most money in, I will present first, and I will trail off as we go into it. Most of my stocks are 90% technology, but I've broadened out somewhat. I believe we may have some inflation, but I think it'll be outstripped by the growth in the stock market so that it ends up being a net benefit. You can't have explosive growth like this without having some inflation, but I think it'll be manageable. I have major money in Berkshire Hathaway. Good old BRKB is the symbol. He invests in oil. He invests in industrials. He invests in financials like banks. And what does the stock market recently been favoring? Well, it's been favoring financials like banks, oil, and industrials. Looking at the chart, you can see that it made 3% in the last month, but it was having kind of a rough time. It basically was up at 480, and then it came down to 445 or so. Once it crossed 450, and looking at the way the market was going, I went back into it in a major way to sort of counterbalance all my strong technology stocks. Technology is the vast majority of what I'm investing in, but this makes a good balancing out, a good broadening out. The relative strength is 61, which is good. My favorite trillion-dollar stock is Broadcom, whose symbol is AVGO, because they're going to make customized chips for members of the Magnificent Seven, which should be the Batman to include Broadcom right now. That's Batman with 3 A's and 2 M's. Looking at the chart, you can see that Broadcom, like most of the market, had a kind of a bummer of a December, but now, since the 13th, is starting to swoop up, and I think it will continue to swoop with the Trump relief rally. Its relative strength of 63 is decent. The Fidelity Bitcoin ETF, FBTC, has been nothing but good news. At the time of this recording, Bitcoin has reached 105,000, and I expect it to go up to about 120,000 probably within the next month, with our having elected the most pro-crypto president in history. In fact, this president has his own meme coin, the Trump coin, which has gone from $7 to $68 in 2 days. We worry about some Congress people having a couple 100,000 maybe in stocks. We're talking billions with a president. I think we can stop talking about conflict of interest with Congress now. And looking at the chart, you can see he's gone from a little over $6 to over $67, and it hit a high point of $74 at one point. So I think it's really doing okay, making 1,000% in 2 days. Just a friendly reminder that this is not financial advice because I do not know your personal situation. You need to do further research and gather further information to decide if the investments I present are right for you. Another successful investment has been in Reddit, the relatively new social media board. Looking at the 3-month chart, it's gone up 128%, and it's more or less consolidating right now. So its relative strength is only 58, which is okay. But I think it's trying to take a break and consolidate for a while here. But I expect it to move up if the market keeps going up. And of course, we love AppLovin Corporation, which is involved in mobile advertising. AppLovin has an interesting chart. You know, its 3-month chart, it's gone up 136%, but it made nearly all of its rise in November, going from 150 to around 350. And then since mid-December, it's just been consolidating. And it is overvalued. Its price to earnings is about 58, but it has an outrageous earnings growth rate of 51%, which is reminiscent of Tesla in its early days. So we will be watching very carefully its next earnings date, which is on February 12th, to see if they have banger results to report on February 12th. Robinhood, symbol HOOD, HOOD, has done quite well in the last 3 months. It's made 78% as we look at the chart, and it's been a little choppy, but its continual bias is towards the upside, and it recently has taken another upturn. So I expect good things from this stock, and it's a comforting stock because it has a direction and it knows what direction it's going. Twilio, symbol TWLO, is customer communication software that has done well over the last 3 months, but I think it's kind of in a holding pattern. Like many of my technology stocks, they're waiting for the Trump relief rally. Twilio has made 58% in the last 3 months. Its price to earnings is about 27, and its earnings growth rate is an excellent 37%. So it's been consolidating since December 9th, and I think it's, again, waiting for the Trump relief rally. And then we have my favorites of the trillion-dollar stocks, and that is the amazing Amazon, AMZN, and Google, GOOGL. They are amazing stocks. Amazon, its main money is made in Amazon Web Services, and also they are one of the 35 Dow Jones Industrial stocks, which is amazing. Google just came out with the Willow chip, which ignited all this fuss about quantum stocks. You know, it's still kind of just a big research project for Google. It's not central to their business, but it is interesting and it has set off the craze. So we'll see where it goes with that. But that is not the main reason you're in Google. You're in Google for their YouTube and their search business. That is the heart and soul of Google. And if you want to play the other trillion-dollar stocks besides Broadcom, MEGS would be a good choice because that is the Magnificent Seven. Usually I like to favor the MAGS ETF and Broadcom, which fills out the Batman stocks, the BATMMAAN stocks, which are all $1 trillion stocks. It's now 8 stocks. Credo, CRDO, is very important to data centers because it makes semiconductors that have high-speed connectivity for artificial intelligence. So it's a big deal. And they skyrocketed in 2024, and they've come down a little bit now. Credo has made 116% in the last 3 months, and it really started taking off in December. And recent moves looks like it wants to continue going. So its relative strength is 65, which is good. Arista Networks, ANET, A-N-E-T, makes high-speed Ethernet switches for data centers. So it's important for networking in data centers and artificial intelligence. And Arista Networks has made 18% in the last 3 months. But looking at the chart, I just like the way it moves. It doesn't do any crazy downturns, and there's a consistent bias towards moving upwards. And 18%, I mean, looking at these other stocks, you get spoiled. You get crazy. 18% in 3 months is outrageous. So it's a good stock. Its relative strength is 64, so that's great. And then Palantir, PLTR. I have a love-hate relationship with this stock. I loved it when it first came out, and then there were things wrong with it, with employees owning too much of the stock and diluting your shares. And so then I hated it. But then they forced me to buy it once it cost $40. Of course, nobody could believe that it went over $40, but it's continued on, as stocks frequently will do, and it's now trying to pump towards 80, and I trade in and out of the stock. So it depends on how much I want to gamble on a particular day with this particular stock. I think its prospects actually are good for the future. I just think it's probably overvalued. But hey, overvaluation can go on for a long time. And if the Trump pump continues, it could well go to 100. Palantir has made 71% in the last 3 months, so what am I complaining about? Its relative strength is only 51, which isn't that great. Ceragon is a penny stock I have a small amount of money in. It provides telecommunications equipment to wireless service providers. It's headquartered in Israel. It's sort of play money, but it has reasonable statistics behind it. Ceragon is undervalued. Its price right now is $4.49. Its value is said to be $6.38. It's got a price to earnings of only 11. Its earnings growth rate is an excellent 27%. It's made 72% in the last 3 months, and its relative strength is 48. Sometimes I start laughing because I can't believe the kinds of stocks I'm buying. But this is my game. This is where I make the money. You make money in the stock market, I have found, being somewhat outrageous. So I will continue to do so. Fubo TV is a streaming service, and the whole thing with this penny stock is it has been combined with Hulu and with Disney Live, that's going to take place in the future. So the whole thing with this stock is the coming combination of this stock, and it will have the Fubo name being combined with Hulu and Disney Live. Fubo has made 140% in the last 3 months, but it's all been made since 2025, and it just recently spiked up. And I bought it on the way up. I bought it at $4.13. I totally FOMO'd into this one. But the news on combining with Hulu and Disney is so exciting that it's just a small amount of money. The 4% trailing stop loss doesn't really work with these penny stocks because you can get 4% movements so quickly with these small stocks that you would be doing it frequently on most of them. So you usually have to have a stock of some substance to be able to put a 4% trailing stop loss on it and have that make sense. But the statistics are horrible, but the prospects are wonderful. And so that's why I put a small amount of money on it and let it ride. And then there's the quantum stocks, the latest fad, which was ignited by Google's Willow chip. And then Rigotti leads them with a 3-month return of 785%. And then you have QBTS, which is D-Wave, is the name of the company. And that has made 350%. And then you have IonQ, which has made 192%. Defiance Quantum ETF, QTUM, has made about 30%. So my thought was just to put play money in these. I was going to put a moderate amount in the ETF, Defiance Quantum ETF, QTUM, but I think, we may not be 10 years away from this developing, but I think we're a few years away. Jensen Huang made the leaders of these companies so mad by saying that it was 10 to 30 years away before there was a practical use for it, that he decided to have a quantum computing day during his upcoming conference to placate them. But I really think we're a few years away, and this is, in my mind, is for play money only. Donald Trump gets inaugurated Monday. The main question I have in my mind is he going to mention his crypto in his inauguration speech? That would be something. Thanks for listening.